All right, we are recapping Sunday Night Football, and we've got 4 big topics today. Our thoughts on Odunze, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, the Chargers. Man, like with the question, what do we do with teams like the Chargers? I don't know, but we're going to try to figure it out. And Travis Hunter, is he going to be better than Brian Thomas Jr. rest of the season? We'll also give you the snap counts and those types of things that you need to know here on Beyond the Box Score, advanced stats from simple people. And we welcome you to Fantasy Football today, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. All right, what's up, Jacob Gibbs? How we doing?
I'm good. So I saw the show notes, and I was like, man, I feel like we're skewed a little bit negative this week. Like, why don't we talk about Odunze Gadsden or something? Like, there's some cool stuff to talk about. And then I got in here before the show, and I started talking to these guys. I'm like, oh yeah, the freaking Giants game was so brutal. You guys have to go through this like almost every other week, it seems like. Yeah. And so, yeah, I get it. And it's totally okay to be in this space. I'm here with you guys. I'm here for you. I'm sorry.
Thank you. First of all, the audience picked the topics. The 4 big topics are audience chosen. And within the Chargers conversation, we can talk about Odunze Gadsden. And within the Brian Thomas Jr. conversation, we can rave about Travis Hunter. But Dan and I are definitely like Dan's going to be wearing that hoodie for the next 4 or 5 days. No showers.
At minimum. No, there's a skit that Jacob and I love from Tim Robinson where he's asked to do basically like a sketch, or what is it? It's like a prank show, and he's dressed up in like this incredible gear. He has this heavy ass mat, face on and everything. And he's like, come on, do the prank. And he's like, and eventually he just goes, I don't even want to be around anymore.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel right now, to be completely honest about the situation. I mean, I just don't understand at this point what being a Giants fan is like. And look, we had our Super Bowls, and in my lifetime, I got to watch 2 Super Bowls. So I shouldn't be crying about this. I should just understand that we sold our soul to the devil. But before the game, Adam Azer texted me and said in a group chat with me and another Giants fan, he said, I've had a really rough sports weekend. Can we at least just please get this thing? And we did. We dominated the Broncos for all but 6 minutes of a football game and lost. Yeah. Gave up 33 points in the fourth quarter. And by we, I mean the Giants. I don't play for the team. But that's where we're at right now. We're here to talk fantasy football. So that should be the end of the Giants, I hope.
That is it. Okay. Yeah, the Giants are done. So let's talk San Francisco and Atlanta. And the Falcons defense, pretty darn good again, but their offense couldn't hold up its end. San Francisco 20, Atlanta 10. I know we'll talk about Drake London. He's obviously a hot topic, and you're probably wondering, Drake London, is he just not going to be nearly as good with Darnell Mooney? We'll break that down for you. I'm seeing a lot of comments in the chat about George Kittle just blocking all night. It's not really true. He ran a ton of routes. He just didn't get targeted. They didn't throw that much. This is the first time that Mac Jones threw fewer than 39 passes. He threw, 26 passes in this game? Yeah. So, Jacob, key fantasy takeaways from... Oh, no, go ahead. Take a drink. I'll filibuster a little bit. Jacob Gibbs. Follow him at JAGibbs_23. There he is.
Jacob, hold on. What is this? Did we get a... I didn't even see this. I haven't caught up on yesterday's show. I didn't want to listen because I just felt like Jamie would be trolling you all night, and I didn't really want to deal with listening to that, honestly, in the moment. But... someone said this, Adam, please do the Dan impression from yesterday again. You did a good Dan impression?
I guess so. I don't even remember what it was. It was just very in the moment.
Oh, man, I got to listen now. I mean, I'm way behind, but I got to listen.
All right, Jacob, what are our key fantasy takeaways from the Falcons-49ers game?
It was another troubling game, I think, if you're watching Penix in terms of his ability to process, right? And so I just want to make note of that. So people have really brought up that Drake London, Darnell Mooney splits, which exists over 5 games, I think it is now, where he's had Mooney on the field with Penix. It hasn't been so great compared to the games when Mooney's been off the field with Penix, and London has just gone nuts. So I dug into their larger splits together. They've run almost 600 routes together, and London's per route data is basically identical with Mooney on the field compared to when Mooney's off the field. It's a little bit better with Mooney off of the field. And then even with Penix on the field too, all 3 of them on the field together, the per route data is still basically the same. And so I think that is relevant because over a larger sample size, it's probably more likely to be what bears out than what happened over a few individual games. But still the Penix aspect of all of it is what has me concerned, right? Like it was a great game by Robert Saleh last night, but like also it is a Niners defense that we expected to be reeling with all the injuries.
Right.
And they had 10 points. Is that right? And
Mm-hmm.
it looked like a struggle a lot from the QB there.
Yeah. It feels like most of what he's done this year has been off play action too, set up by the run game and Bijan. I mean, it's hard. It's at times hard to like Penix throws at times he throws some of the best footballs in the game. And at times, though, it doesn't look like it's coming out right, too, on some of the throws, especially around the line of scrimmage throws. And that just doesn't really touch on what Jacob's point was, which is the most important factor, the processing pre to post snap. Just doesn't look like he sees the field all that well to me.
Well, he gets Miami next week, so hopefully he can bounce back. 44% rostered, 14.2 fantasy points this week at San Francisco. Last week, he scored 16.6 fantasy points, which is bad, but he was so close to having that second touchdown to Drake London right before halftime against Buffalo. I thought he played pretty well in that game, and then Jake Matthews got hurt, and he was horrible in the second half. Matthews was able to play this week, so it was just a bad game. Here's a picture of a little screenshot of Darnell Mooney. Look how wide open Darnell Mooney is here, and you're wondering about the caption. It says, "How did you not see that ball?" Well, today my kids didn't have school today, so I let my son do the caption, and he came up with, "How do you not see that ball?" And then it's 6'7".
Your son's doing 6'7" stuff. How old is your son?
He's 7.
I thought the 6'7" thing was like a TikTok high school thing.
Everyone knows it, but I think the teachers had to tell the kids to stop saying it. But
why are your 7-year-old son is talking 6'7"? What does it even
not really
mean?
I don't know. Nobody knows what it means. It just means 6'7", but I put it in the caption.
Oh, man, we are
look how open Darnell Mooney is. Darnell Mooney could have had a big chunk play there. That was right at the end of the game. Here's one. Kendrick Bourne. Look at Kendrick Bourne. Wide open. Dude, I'm open. And then he says 6'7".
I love that your son did this. This is amazing, actually.
So he's wide open. Mac Jones it was looking at him like the whole time that he just came off of him there, and Bourne could have had a touchdown. There's just a couple of plays that stood out watching the All-22. But anyway, yeah, so just Jacob, so you looked at that full Drake London and Darnell Mooney sample with Penix just this year. Drake London has a 21.3% target share when Darnell Mooney is on the field and 40% target share when he's off the field. But I mean, I think in the last 2 games, so the game that, okay, I think it was week 4. No, the first 2 games that he played with Mooney, he had a 19% target share, 19% and 19.5%. The next game was 27.8%. That's great. The next game, it was 41% with Mooney on the field before Mooney got hurt, right? So Mooney played most of the first half. So it was 41% in that game. And last night, his target share was what? He had 10 targets on 38 pass attempts. I mean, that's really good too. So that's 3 games in a row where London's had a very good target share, not 40%, but over 25% when Darnell Mooney's been on the field. So personally, I think he's fine. I don't think Darnell Mooney's going to be the reason that London struggles. They do throw a lot to Pitts now. They didn't do that last year. They throw even more to Bijan than they did last year. So that these are sort of issues. But just a bad game. He had 10 targets last night, I'll take it. I guess I'm trying to say I'd buy low on Drake London. Still think he's a good player, like kind of a must start.
And the 49ers definitely played a lot more man coverage defense than the Bills did against Michael Penix. I think that is something that people, I mean, if I'm defending Michael Penix, I'll probably look at what Robert Saleh did with this, ragtag group of reserve players to shut him down. And I feel like I'll look at what the Bills didn't do, and I'll probably make my game plan based on that. To me, that's how you play Michael Penix. You put everybody up on the line of scrimmage. You play man. I mean, they didn't do it all game. They ran a ton of zone too. I think it was 36% man. But playing a lot of cover 1 against Penix seems to be the right play.
Am I missing something here with London, guys? I mean, he only has 2 games with more than 55 yards. He still is doing nothing. 3.4 yards after catch per reception. That's just what he's going to be, it seems. Am I overrating him?
I don't think so, right? Like, Jacob, you don't feel like, I feel like an individual, you're talking individual player wise or just
I'm talking
fantasy
about
profile?
In fantasy, I still consider him. I think if we were drafting again in fantasy, he's
a
top 30 pick for sure, if not a second round pick.
I don't think that he maybe has the upside that we thought he might, because 1, the defense is actually playing really well.
Right.
And then 2, Penix has been probably on the lower range of where we could have predicted. And so those 2 things combined makes it where he has to really play well. He has to do the yards after the catch stuff, and he has to pile up a lot of these targets because, we need more volume overall for him to get there.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the 49ers here. Kyle Pitts, by the way, is the number 12 tight end per game in full PPR, number 17 per game in non-PPR. Is coming off a very good game. He's on pace for 808 yards, 85 catches, 108 targets. So someone you can use. Mac Jones wasn't great. Didn't need to do much because McCaffrey finally had a good running game. I mean, he's been really struggling running the ball. Yesterday, 24 carries, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns, plus 7 catches. He always gets to 7 or 8 targets, but it's usually on about 40 pass attempts. This time it was on 26 pass attempts. And Christian McCaffrey, guys, there are 3 running backs in the NFL right now averaging 24 or more PPR fantasy points per game. 2 of them played last night. The other is Jonathan Taylor. That is sensational. Yeah. I mean, that's high-end stuff. And
look, the fact that he's doing this with a run game that has not blocked well until last night, and maybe I'm hopeful that's a sign of things to come. Having George Kittle back in the run game is certainly a plus for them. He's one of the best run-blocking tight ends that I've ever really seen play the game. And in addition to that, I think just getting a lot of the talent around him on the offense, it could mean like McCaffrey's due for maybe even more. Quite honestly, like maybe the targets will come down, but the rushing success will come up. This is a tweet from Field Yates that I just wanted to point out. Christian McCaffrey's finishes amongst running backs so far this season, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 8th, 4th, 7th, 1st. There's just no one like him in fantasy, as Jacob and I kind of touched on, and you were on this train too, Adam. You were willing to take him 3rd overall in the preseason. He has the clearest path. Like, he's the only player in all of fantasy that his path towards success is just simple. It's one simple formula. Don't get hurt. Everything else is in play. There's no questions about the situation. He's playing through a bad run blocking team with injuries across the board to all of his offensive players and still scoring at this rate.
Yeah, this was super encouraging because, like I said, the Falcons have been shutting people down. But this, like we finally saw, when there's rushing efficiency, you get 40 points. I tweeted this out last week, and it's like, wow, Bijan Robinson is leading fantasy football in points per game with only 3 rushing touchdowns, which is insane, right? He's getting there all with yards. CMC was right there with him, both at 25 points per game. He only had 4 rushing touchdowns. He had no rushing efficiency at all, 3 yards per carry. And then finally, we see it come together, and it's like, oh, gosh, yeah, this can be 40 points any given week.
By the way, this chart here is 4 point per passing touchdown or 6?
I believe it's 6.
No way, really? Because
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
I could be wrong, but I think that's right.
It's 4, but it doesn't matter. I mean, this is a cool graphic here of Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey. This is last week, you're saying?
Yeah, this is a week old.
Yeah, and McCaffrey only even better than that. So
yeah, so CMC's 1 now.
And then you know what? I think we'll save the conversation about what's going to happen to the passing game for another time, because if Pearsall's back next week, I think Kittle's going to be fine. But look, McCaffrey could just kill everyone. I mean, if he's going to have, he's not going to have.
I think his target share will come down when it's not Mac Jones, honestly.
Probably. And Mac Jones had a season high in time to throw, as in like the amount of time it took for him to throw the ball after the snap. But a little deceiving, because he also had a season high by far of pass attempts under 2.5 seconds. So he was getting rid of the ball very quickly. 61.5% of his passes, he got rid of it in under 2.5 seconds. That's the 3rd highest rate this week in week 7 in the NFL, behind Joe Flacco and Patrick Mahomes. He only threw 1 deep ball. It was dropped by Demarcus Robinson. For whatever reason, that's just what they have a good pass rush, the Falcons. That's just what Mac Jones was doing. Real quick passes, not good for the wide receivers, terrific for Christian McCaffrey. You guys worried about George Kittle, or we think he's going to be great going forward, or what?
He was one of our big buys on last week's show, so I'm sticking with it once Purdy gets back in.
Right, yeah, I don't see any reason why George Kittle wouldn't be George Kittle.
And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be listening to Beyond the Box Score the rest of the week. What kind of episodes do we have coming up this week?
Yeah, Beyond the Box Score, check us out. This is the first one of a 4-episode week. Dan and I have got 2 together, and we're going to get into all the usage notes, all the specific stuff. Like, we're about to get into Odunze, and I'll tell you about some of the underlying reasons why things haven't been as good. We try to do that just for like basically the whole league is what we do on these upcoming episodes.
I'm curious to see if you and I, reading into Odunze, came up with any of the same things or what. So that's our last topic. We'll get to that. And it is, of course, football season, and it's time for football at BetMGM. So if you register with BetMGM, get instant access to the best variety of parlay selection features, no sweat and boost tokens, live betting options, and much more. New players can receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets with the bonus code FANTASY if they don't win their first bet. You don't want to miss out on any of the hard-hitting action at BetMGM. Place your money line, parlay bets, and more today. BetMGM, make it legendary. We're going to take a break, come back, give you the update. We have an update on Bryce Young, and we'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. So even if you can't count on accurate expiration dates,
that is a rookie mistake,
or people appreciating your fashion sense,
Jim, the crowd is not on board here.
you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
Glad we wear our good jerseys.
Yeah. All right, Bryce Young has a high ankle sprain. He's unlikely to play this week against the Bills. That could often be a multi-week absence. Bills, Packers, next two games, going to be tough for Andy Dalton. Are you going?
I don't know about Bills being tough these days. Maybe.
That's true. They got pretty injured a couple of weeks ago in that game against the Falcons. So hopefully they're a little healthier coming out of the bye. It is a home game for Carolina. That's good. Do you think this hurts or helps Tetairoa McMillan having Andy Dalton back there? He was actually quite fond of Xavier Legette yesterday.
He was, yeah. I mean, what we've seen so far is that Dalton has been better than Bryce, at least for facilitating the volume that receivers need. So it definitely could be a good thing.
Okay.
I mean, Dalton did have a couple when he started for Bryce over these past 2 years before this, had a couple big games. If I remember, 300 plus. Still can get the ball out, I think, on time. Still understands how to process a defense very well. So older player. I'm not knocking either of those two guys for fantasy. I want to see with a full week to game plan who he's targeting.
Yeah, his first start, 319 yards, 30.6 fantasy points at Las Vegas. This was Dalton last year. Yeah. And it got worse after that. 220 yards, 136, 221, and then 93 yards. I don't know if he got hurt in that game. I meant to look that up. He was only 11 of 16 for 93 yards. But yeah, I think he did get hurt. And then Young came back. Maybe they just benched him. But Dalton started out hot and then fizzled. What else we got? Okay, so the Dolphins situation. There was a report from Ian Rappaport that no changes are expected at this time for the Dolphins this week. I don't know if that's about Mike McDaniel. McDaniel said that he's going to evaluate, and if you're not helping the team, you might lose your job. I don't think he was talking about Tua. I'd be surprised. But obviously, shaky situation there.
I don't know about that.
Adam Schefter was saying that the Vikings could be looking at week 9 for JJ McCarthy. So not this upcoming week, but the week after. That would be at Detroit in week 9. That's just a maybe. And then Justin Fields could get benched. Aaron Glenn hasn't made a decision. Breece Hall, though, is looking good. He should be fine for this week's game against Cincinnati. And Garrett Wilson could be back this week. We would love that at Cincinnati. Running back news, it's pretty much just Breece Hall. I don't know if there's an update on Kareem Hunt. I haven't seen anything. We'll see if he practices.
I'd like to see an update on Kyler Murray. This Cardinals offense looks like it's moving a lot better without him.
Could be. Brian Thomas Jr. was a little dinged up late, but he's going into his bye. And Dontavian Wicks with a calf injury. There were a couple of big tight end injuries. Darren Waller, haven't heard any updates there yet. Pectoral injury for Waller. Cole Kmet left. They're at Baltimore next week. That could be a shootout. Could be good for Loveland. Offensive line, Philadelphia center Cam Jurgens, Saints center Eric McCoy. Couple of Chargers got banged up. San Francisco center Jake Brendel, sorry. Kansas City guard Trey Smith. These are all guys who left with injuries. Sauce Gardner's in the concussion protocol. San Francisco lost the cornerback Renardo Green in the first half. He's an every down player for them. The Falcons lost the linebacker Divine Diablo, and maybe that's why their run defense actually, in terms of yards per carry, wasn't so good coming into the game. But they did limit fantasy points. The Falcons were giving up the fewest receiving yards to running backs all year, and McCaffrey had that kind of game against them. Washington lost to edge rusher Dorrance Armstrong in the first quarter. He's their sacks leader, so we'll see if he can get back out there. And I think the Jeffrey Simmons injury is pretty big for the Titans. Luckily, they're going on a bye. The Eagles are a little beat up. Actually, no, wait. I don't think the Titans are going. No, they're not going on a bye. Sorry. They have the Colts next week, and they're just injured in general. All right. Let's do some snap counts and other stats that we deem necessary for you to know. Jacob, take it away, Cub.
That's not even a dad joke. I don't know what that is.
That's crazy.
Must get that all the time.
What was that?
He must get that all the time.
Yeah. I did see from the comments. Apparently, your impression of me was off of a dad joke, so I definitely have to listen now.
Yeah, well, I think it was like, what is that supposed to be funny? I mean, how is that? Am I supposed to laugh at that?
Damn, that's too spot on. It's too close to home.
All right, what do we got, Jacob Gibbs?
I didn't really prepare much, but I do have we can go through positionally. The guy who just jumps out to me at the front of mine is Odunze Gadsden. I'm curious to hear you guys' take. So he's been somebody I've been excited for, but really couldn't have expected him to play such a big role in year one. Both he and Harold Fannin, I was like, I don't know. It feels like they could eventually become full-time pros where they're playing in line and doing this stuff where they're split out in the slot and out wide. But I didn't think that they would be good enough, blockers, which jury's still out for sure. But they're both playing a ton, 87% route rate for Fannin this week. Of course, the game environment was, weird and tough to produce much passing there, especially with them playing with a huge lead and just running so much. 77% route rate for Gadsden. So that's back-to-back weeks where he's basically just a full-time player and a big part of the offense. So I've got it here at tight end. If you guys have any thoughts on him, I'm going to look around and see if there's anybody else. Terrence Ferguson popped off a little bit.
I do want to talk a little bit about Gadsden because he's going to be probably the highest priority waiver this week, I assume, except for maybe 2 QB leagues with Dalton. He's somebody we talked about a lot on Beyond the Box Score last week, Jacob. I just feel like what the Chargers have realized with getting him on the field is they can get him in matchups that are advantageous for their offense, especially with a quarterback like Justin Herbert. I saw a cut up from yesterday from his game, and there were multiple times where Herbert hits the whole shot to Gadsden. It's he's going to be there in that spot. He's essentially a wide receiver playing tight end in some ways. But it wasn't just that. He made plays after the catch. He really had a complete football game for the Chargers. He looked really freaking good out there. Yeah. I think the amount of plays he made, I get it. It's tough to predict what's going to happen with the Chargers. Quentin Johnson was this fantasy find for most of the season. Now he's had 2 games in a row with less than 12% target share. It's going to be frustrating at times, I'm assuming. And I think you have the numbers to back this up, Jacob, so you can follow up if you have them. The Chargers have thrown at an incredible rate this year, and they continue to throw at an incredible rate. And so they're one of the pass-first teams in the NFL. They're one of the few pass-first teams, pass-heavy teams in the NFL. So it may just be one of those offense with an elite quarterback like Justin Herbert, where you can trust a lot of guys to at least be in play. And at the tight end position, you don't have to do much to be worth starting on a weekly basis.
They're third in pass rate over expectation. The Chiefs are at the very top. They've been there all year, and the Cardinals have creeped way up. They've had running back injuries, of course, and then the Chargers are next. So definitely has been a very fantasy-friendly offense.
Yeah, how about this? Chargers, because we were going to talk about the Chargers offense later. They are 4th in yards per game. They are 3rd in pass rate. They are 1st in pass attempts per game, 39.3 pass attempts per game. The Chargers are 2nd in gross passing yards per game. They're also 1st in wide receiver target rate. That could be changing if they get Gadsden more involved. They're 7th in touchdown passes. But all of those things said, the Chargers are 19th in points per game, because they are the 2nd worst red zone team in the NFL. They are horrible there, and only the Raiders are worse than the Chargers. But everything else is so great. 6th most plays per game. They're passing all the time. I think one thing I noticed with them, though, is they've played really good offenses, including the Colts, best offense in football right now, I believe. They don't have a bad defense, so their schedule lightens up in terms of the caliber of offenses they play. So I guess I could see lower scoring games, less need to throw the ball. But at the same time, without Amari and Hampton, they're not going to be able to run the ball successfully for the most part. So we should expect a lot of pass attempts. I will say that I love Gadsden, what I'm seeing from him as a player. However, I do not think I'll be picking him up in maybe any leagues because I'm very nervous about picking up players after their quarterback throws 54, 55 passes. And the example that comes to mind last year was Jordan Love facing Sam Darnold and the Vikings. I don't know if you remember that 4th quarter comeback game. Love threw 54 times. Dontavian Wicks had 5 catches, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns on 13 targets. And I'm pretty sure Christian Watson, he did. He got hurt in that game. And we went gaga as a community for Dontavian Wicks. He had 2 catches for 20 yards the next game on 7 targets, but still. 50 plus pass attempts, it just, you could really be sucked in. And if I don't know if I can trust Quentin Johnston or Keenan Allen or Lab McConkey every week. It's just too hard for Gadsden, I think, to be consistent. I'm not saying you can't stream him, but I can't see consistency from him. It's not his fault. It's just, this is what we've got here with the Chargers. Too many mouths to feed.
At wide receiver, I would point out CeeDee Lamb, all the way back, 100% route rate. Rashee Rice was not, and this is partially influenced by the blowout, but even early on, I think they were using him in a pretty limited way, kind of easing him back in. Here's the route chart from Next Gen. From Ian Hartitz, where you see like pretty much was only on one side of the field doing real simple stuff and still had a huge game. So I think that there's maybe even more upside. They've talked about wanting to expand his role beyond what we've seen in the past. Travis Hunter got a role expansion. That's back-to-back weeks where his route rate is much, much higher than we've seen in the past. And then Matthew Golden, again, like his peripherals just keep creeping up. It wasn't a good game, which is, you would have liked to see a big game when the Packers actually fell behind for once. I haven't gotten to his film yet, but the underlying stuff continues to look good.
If you want more on the Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes on the field, here were the route participation rates. Xavier Worthy, 75%. Kelsey, 72.5%. Isaiah Pacheco, 50%, which is cool. Second week in a row where Kareem Hunt has missed some time in the game with injury. Marquise Brown, 47. Marquise Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Rashee Rice were all at a 47.5% route participation rate with Mahomes on the field. Noah Gray, 37.5%, and the big loser was Tyquan Thornton, 32.5%. Do you guys know who wide receiver 1 per game is this year? PPR?
Is it not Puka?
Not anymore.
Jamar?
It's Rashee Rice.
Oh.
Nice.
I have some other stuff unless you had more. I didn't want to cut you off.
The Carolina guys was pretty much a straight split, drive to drive. I thought Rico played better, but I haven't got into the film on that. Kamanangai was playing more in this game, so it was another big DeAndre Swift game. But even early in the game, Manangai was getting in and scoring points, and I think that's interesting, relevant, potentially. Like maybe it's a time to sell high on Swift. You continue to hit on like the Pacheco usage keeps looking good. I was really surprised that Brashard Smith was in the game a lot. We've talked about how they've kind of phased them out, it seemed like, but early on they were getting a lot of touches, including some touches out of the backfield early on, which they hadn't really been doing. So I guess I'm just saying I have no idea what to expect from this, because I thought maybe with Rice coming back that it would be not so much Brashard Smith stuff. But I think Andy Reid really likes him, so I'm continuing to keep an eye on him.
Is he like bringing back the McKinnon role for this offense, essentially?
That's what, people hoped it would be, but it looked like they were apprehensive to get him backfield touches. Kareem Hunt did get a little bit banged up in this one. But 14 carries is way more than we've seen from him. A lot of it was at the end of the game, just kind of salting out the clock, but still like that's different than what we've seen really with him.
True.
Yeah. So my thoughts on that is I'm not going to care unless Pacheco gets third down or goal line work, and that's Kareem Hunt's role. So it's like it's getting better for Pacheco, but he needs to score, and he can't score if Kareem Hunt's healthy, I feel, or he's probably not going to score if Kareem Hunt is healthy. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. I
guess shout out Jaylen Warren just real quick in case anybody like that's gone from their mind because it was a long time ago or whatever, but the role was really good again, and he continues to look so good. I feel like the week before he didn't have a lot of production, but like he was running people over. I feel like this is back-to-back weeks where it's just like this guy's really good, and the team is responding to that and giving him basically all the touches.
Also on that front, like it's an offensive line, the Steelers, where they drafted a lot of talent like over these last few years, and it took a while to come together, but it actually looks to me when I watch them, like watching that full game on Thursday Night Island game, it's starting to come together. And we know from the history of Arthur Smith as a play caller and offense coordinator, he designs great run games. Like he always has had a top run game. And earlier in the year, it's like, well, whatever. I guess it's not happening for Pittsburgh. Looks like it's happening for Pittsburgh. I actually really like that point about Warren. He's somebody who, if you can trade for, you still have a chance to. I don't think he's fully broken out with that offense. He looks good individually, as Jacob said, and that line and that run game starting to really come together with a lot of talent up front.
Kamani Vidal played the same role. I just wanted to get that in real quick. Played the same role
Yeah.
that he did last week.
No, there were two running backs who stunk this week, but I thought their roles, probably more than that, their roles were good, and that was Vidal and actually Bam Knight. Because they started using Dearness Johnson on third down, so Michael Carter is completely useless. But Bam Knight was not really splitting, and neither was Kamani Vidal, just in terms of carries. You know what you're getting. You're not getting great players here. You're just hoping that game script's good enough and they could find the end zone or something. So at least you can take a little bit of heart in that. By the way, Dan, when you said the offensive line was starting to come together, it reminded me of starting to come together, Pepper, starting to come together.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it reminded you of come together.
Oh,
right next.
that overrated
Friday
game.
You have a lot of heat for that all weekend, and rightfully so. And
you deserve it.
Again, let me make it clear. Top 20, top 15, fine. I'm with that. Top 1, no.
Top 20. Oh, that's so generous.
Top 15, top 10, maybe. I'm fine with any of that.
Beatles, maybe top 10. Okay. Other notes here. Travis Hunter, he played 87% of the offensive snaps. Kyron Williams played 29 snaps in the first 3 quarters compared to Blake Corum's 14. So it was pretty much a 2/3 split for Kyron. Stephon Diggs only played 54% of the snaps, but he did have a 75% route participation rate, which is pretty good for him. Tyler Bidet was back, and RJ Harvey was caught a touchdown, but they played about the same amount of snaps. Josh Jacobs only played 55% of the snaps. Before the game, there was a report that it was his calf that was the bigger issue than his illness, and he played only 55% of the snaps. Hopefully he can get healthy throughout the week. And Washington wide receivers, if they're playing another game without Debo and McLaurin, Chris Moore, 79% of the snaps, Jalen Lane, 69%, Zach Ertz, 67%, Luke McCaffrey. Seems like everybody wants him to be the guy. He just doesn't really play that much. He played 54% of the snaps.
Yeah.
I probably should have looked at the first 3 quarters because it was a blowout, but I don't think they were taking their guys out because of the score. Speaking
that
of
get ugly fast too if Mariota's playing. I don't know.
They did a pretty good job with him. Mariota, he faced the Raiders. I have it in my notes somewhere. They scored a good amount of points. Hold on. He's in my notes somewhere. Mariota.
Against the Raiders, yeah.
Oh, they scored 41 points against the Raiders and 27 points at the Falcons. So, but they need their guys back.
They were weren't they down multiple scores in that game, and a lot of it was garbage time against Atlanta? I thought I remember that.
Could be. I don't remember.
Yeah.
All right, topic number 1 is about the Washington Commanders. It's about Jacory Croskey-Merritt. This is from Mo. Bill having 2 chances and failing fantasy managers is a bit unfortunate considering pretty decent matchups. He's talking about the Bears last week and the Cowboys this week. And those are great matchups. And he scored 5.8 fantasy points against Chicago and 4.2 fantasy points yesterday. So Jacob, I don't blame you. You were high on him. It looked like things were setting up pretty nicely. What are you seeing right now with Jacory Croskey-Merritt?
Yeah, definitely disappointing because we were excited for these matchups. I will say the Bears got healthier coming out of the bye into that game, and they played pretty well. I haven't dug into the film for this week. I'm surprised that we didn't get a better result. But yeah, what we're seeing from Bill, he's had a 39% stacked box rate this week, only 3 yards before contact this week. And so I think, Jane being out probably hurts, and the run scheme isn't working quite as well. But I mean, ultimately, he's just got to play better, I think, is basically where I'm at with it. He had just amazing games through the first 5 games, and the past 2, all of the efficiency numbers are just crashing way down. I think that he can get there. I'm not doubting the talent at all, but he needs to run well for him to be a good fantasy player. He doesn't have quite the target equity that some players do, and he might lose out on touchdowns occasionally. We saw that in this game where the touchdown happened to go to Chris Rodriguez late in the 3rd quarter. And so if he's not running well, then he's a pretty questionable start. But we really thought that he would run well because this Cliff Kingsbury scheme has done such a good job of running well, and he looks like a really effective player within it. And everything the team has done suggests that they really believe in him to run well. So that's where we're at. It sucks. I still believe in him. I would buy low on Bill. But if we get many more of these games, then we're just clearly on a downward trajectory.
Dan, did you watch the tape? I did. I'm curious your thoughts.
I've not got a chance yet to watch the Washington Commanders run game, so I'll defer to you on this one.
Well, first of all, he gained 29 yards on his first 5 carries, and then the rest of the game, Croskey-Merritt had 8 carries for 4 yards. What I saw, and I don't have anything to compare this to, I thought it was a very aggressive defense for the Cowboys. As Jacob mentioned, they had 8 men in the box a lot. I also thought they were kind of like run blitzing a lot. I just think they had no respect for the Commanders' passing game. With no McLaurin, with no Deebo Samuel, and then eventually with no Jaden Daniels, I think they just really focused on Jacory Croskey-Merritt. I thought, believe it or not, they just whooped Washington up front. He was getting hit in the backfield a number of times. I don't think anyone would have ran well under these circumstances personally. So then let's talk about a couple things. The goal line
doesn't surprise me too, right? Like all the things you mentioned, that no receivers, Jaden out of the game.
Yeah. So then let's talk about a couple of like concern. Go ahead, Jacob. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just jumping in randomly. I would say like what we just saw with Bijan Robinson is basically the same thing, where there was no respect for the pass game and he averaged 2.8 yards per rush. The difference is like he has the receiving stuff that's like way beyond what Bill has. Exactly. This is a weird one, but like stylistically, Bill kind of runs like Bijan, where like as there's pieces that he can like navigate, like he is extremely effective at navigating each individual one and jumping from one to the next to the next. But like if everything's crashing down, like there's not much that he can really do.
Yeah.
So there are 2 other concerns here, right? Why did Chris Rodriguez get a goal line touchdown? Well, the way that unfolded was they had 2nd down and 1 at the 3-yard line, and Croskey-Merritt was in the game. And this was Mariota at this point, and they threw incomplete. And he came off the field for 3rd and 1, which surprised me a little bit. Usually he comes off the field for 3rd down. It's McNichols. For whatever reason, they brought Rodriguez in on 3rd and 1 from the 3-yard line, and Rodriguez got the carry and he scored a touchdown. They played 5 snaps inside the 5-yard line, and Bill was in on 3 of them. So that's not a huge concern for me. I certainly don't think Rodriguez is the goal line back. Obviously, it could happen, but I think Bill is the first option there. But then you get into the passing game stuff, and there's just almost nothing there. The Commanders, Jaden Daniels has the 2nd lowest running back target rate on 1st and 2nd down in the NFL, ahead of only Sam Darnold. And if he's going to catch passes, it's going to be on 1st or 2nd down. I don't think he's run a single route. He hasn't run a single route on 3rd down the entire season. So that's an issue. We know what it is, right? He needs to get a lot of work. And that's another issue. That's something that we probably haven't talked about. Because Jaden Daniels runs so much, they don't really have that many running back carries. So the running back I wanted to compare Bill to was Quinshon Judkins. Both of these guys have one of the lowest route participation rates among running backs. They don't play on 3rd down. Difference is Quinshon Judkins in his last 3 games, he's got over 20 carries twice. You're talking 14 to 17 carries, 3 straight games for Jacory Croskey-Merritt. So,
but I think I like that what you're talking about, because I think you're spot on. That was a lot of good stats and a good comparison. But I think if Bill is going to win us fantasy leagues, or he's going to be a contributor for us down the stretch, it's a different path than Judkins. Judkins' path to me is Browns can stay in some of these games, keep the game script close, and Judkins can get his 20 carries, and he's a really good individual runner. And their line is coming together, and Stefanski's calling some good stuff up front. For Bill, it's almost like Daniels gets back to the level he was playing last year. The Washington offense gets back to the level they were playing last year, and Bill is a cog in that offense, because that's, to me, it's less reliance on him and more reliance on the Washington offense and Jaden Daniels get back to how they were playing last year, which that I have some concerns about.
It just makes you wonder.
Have you looked at the schedule?
Does it get hard? I feel like it gets harder. I feel it's Chiefs, Lions,
the next
Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions. These next few, and then they could be what, like 3-7? Am I doing my math?
They lose all those, yeah. And that's if Mariota play. I don't even know what's going to happen with that situation with Jaden.
Should we be thinking about selling Quinshon Judkins based on what I said? I mean,
I haven't been in on him at any point, so yes.
But you've kind of been wrong.
For now, the games are closed for now. Yeah,
it's not
if the game script's good, and he's a great player. Let me be clear about that. I like his talent a lot.
It's not a bad idea to think about selling a player after he faces Miami.
Right.
I would definitely try to sell him right now.
Look, he could be Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was one of the few running backs who thrived while not catching passes. It's basically just been him and Derrick Henry over the last, 6-something years. Can Judkins be that guy? Or will they maybe throw to him a little bit more? Maybe, but
I feel like in both of it's fair comparison. Like some of those Titans offense weren't that great, and Henry was able to overcome it. Same thing for Nick Chubb. So it's not like I'm totally out on this player. I think he's a phenomenal talent. Like everything he's done for fantasy, I think he's done in a lot of ways himself. But I just have such a hard time buying into the Browns offense rest of season with Dylan Gabriel.
Same.
Dan, do you remember when I dug into all the Chubb or the data for Judkins this summer? I was like, he looks like a bust unless he's Nick Chubb. Like that's basically exactly what the data said. And then you watch him as a pro, it's like he kind of looks like Nick Chubb. He's really good.
Yeah, so I'll tell you some guys. You tell me if you'd rather have Quinshon Judkins or some guys who's kind of close to in points per game. Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah, we've done this a few times. It's tough. I think I do lean towards Scatterbo because he has receiving upside that Judkins doesn't.
I'll go Scatterbo.
Judkins or Jaylen Warren?
I'm going to go with Warren. That might sound crazy.
I feel the same way. I will say this about Judkins. There are, looking ahead, Patriots, he has some games, Jets, Raiders, that stand out to me, Titans. He still has some games left on his schedule that really stand out as possible wins for him from a game script standpoint, maybe.
Yeah.
And there's just some other games on here, like 49ers. I just like some of these games, just like, I don't see it for him because I don't see the Browns scoring. For me, it all just comes down to the touchdown upside with him versus a player like Warren or Scatterbo. And I feel like for Scatterbo, for sure, has more touchdown upside than Judkins.
Oh, I don't know. Well, maybe. He certainly has a nose for the end zone. He also, Scatterbo likes to get into the end zone, and while he's 2 yards deep in the end zone, lower his helmet and smash a defender for no reason. It just
no reason.
Slaves contact. Then let's not forget with Quinshon Judkins, last week he faced Pittsburgh, and he had 12 carries for 36 yards for 3.6 fantasy points in all formats.
Right.
All right, we got to take a break. Talk about the Chargers offense when we come back on Fantasy Football Today.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, question from Michelle. What to do with teams like the Chargers? So much talent, but how to know who to trust? I thought about this a lot. I did a lot of research. I watched a ton of tape. And Michelle, I have no idea. So, Jacob, what do you think specifically about the Chargers? I think the Eagles are kind of in this boat too, but what do you think?
I think generally it's been encouraging to me what we've been able to facilitate offensively with the Chargers here, even with the tackles going down. Some of it, like this game, some of it was just kind of desperation mode, right? Playing from behind. And then the game before was against the Dolphins. So I think it could even get worse. And that's, I think, important to bring up because with, Gadsden emerging, with Quinn Johnston playing better this year, with Keenan Allen continuing to demand, first on the team this week, 36% first read target rate, Keenan Allen. And this has just kind of been who Keenan Allen has been all along the way. Last year, this year, still at this point in his career. That does make it fragile where there has to be a lot of yards and a lot of attempts and everything that we've been seeing from them for these guys to be good. Even this week, QJ barely got there with it because he had a touchdown. Quinn Johnston had a 10% first read target rate this week because Keenan, Ladd McConkey, and Gadsden all were really, really involved. So it's I believe in Herbert, and I'm generally happy with how they've been able to play and keep this afloat, but it could be bad for any given guy on any given week.
I think that is true from the receiving standpoint, but the better, is there any reason to doubt Justin Herbert as a clear-cut top 6 quarterback rest of season?
Yeah.
Doing this without Joe Alt?
There is. I think look at his last 4 games. 16.6 points at Denver, 14.5 points at the Giants, 16.6 against Washington. This is 6 point per passing touchdown. 22.8 at Miami, which isn't even that good. Then he has this huge game with how many points did he score yesterday? 30 something. So there's some reason. I think he's probably a must start, but I can't ignore that the last
top 3 in pass over expectation. Like, I just feel like they can't run the football with this group of backs that are left. And maybe that will change.
Right. I think that will change. I think they'll be able to run the football pretty
They weren't running it well before that, though. They had one good game running the football with Hampton.
I thought they had 2.
Well, might have been second. You might be right. I still have faith.
Top 6. I mean, he's good. He's, but I think, the one that really stands out, I think people are probably the most concerned about, my guess would be Quentin Johnston. His target share in his last 2 games, 12.5% and 11.1%. Look how open he is here. Oh, he burns this guy. He's throw it to me. It's a touchdown. P.S. jerseys are gross.
The jerseys were gross.
I couldn't, watching the film, watching the tape. Look at this. You can't tell what the numbers are.
No.
Quentin Johnston has long hair. I had no idea who's
These
who.
are bad jerseys.
Legitimately, other than QJ, I could not tell who was who. I was mixing up Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey, and the next play I'd mix up Keenan Allen and Gadsden. It's how does that make any sense given the size difference of those guys?
Yes, I know.
All yellow is an insane move.
Keenan Allen caught a touchdown, and I was like, oh, Gadsden caught a touch. No, it was Keenan Allen. Anyway, my personal thought was Quentin Johnston looked pretty good, still running by guys. He had a deep shot that Herbert threw behind him a little bit. He couldn't come down with it. But at the same time, it's 12% target share in his last 2 games.
Well,
that injured game in between there.
That clip you just showed, the ball's already coming out of Herbert's hands, right?
Yes, because Keenan Allen's wide open too, and it was a completion of Keenan Allen. Yeah,
I just think that's relevant for QJ. This is something Dan and I were worried about with QJ. When we speculated on what the loss of Joe Alt might mean, in addition to the Slater loss at the other tackle spot, it's I think Johnson is probably the most likely to see his numbers go down. And that's what we've seen is Herbert's getting the ball out very quick. 2.33 time to throw this past week was the fastest it's been all year.
Oh, wow.
And his pressure rate was the lowest it's been all year in this game. And it's been low each of the past 2 games because they're intentionally designing things to get the ball out quickly. Exactly. And QJ has been the isolated X receiver that's working down the field more.
Sure. But the good news is that Joe Alt's been practicing. He didn't go on IR. I think there's probably a chance he's back this upcoming week. They've got Minnesota. So that could really help. It's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal when guys get their left tackle back. So I think you said it well, right? It's one of these guys probably going to stink. I don't understand what's going on with, here's McConkey, but look at how open Ladd McConkey is. He was distracted. He goes, hey, can you believe the Giants are going to beat the Broncos? He was scoreboard watching. It was so,
no.
Yeah, but look how open he is. This was an incomplete pass. He threw this ball almost through the goalpost. It was so high. It should have been a touchdown for McConkey. He also had another ball in his hands in the end zone later in the game. Someone asked, where are the 6'7s in these pictures? 6'7 has not made its way out to Los Angeles, believe it or not. It's still very much an East Coast thing, I guess. Wait, what was the first game I used it on? No, it was in San Francisco last night. Never mind. Bad take there. So it's gonna be tough. I'm gonna start Quentin Johnston in all my leagues next week, and just especially if Joe Alt plays, and just hope it's his turn.
Justin Herbert had 355 catchable air yards produced in this game, which was the second most in any game this year. The only one higher was that crazy Russell Wilson game that went into overtime.
Oh wow!
So that's what I mean when we're talking about the offensive environment. There's only been 3 games even above 300 catchable air yards all year.
All right, this one's from Jake Anderson. How concerned are we about Travis Hunter maybe becoming the featured wide receiver over Brian Thomas Jr. and the Jags offense moving forward? I'm going to throw it to Dan first.
Okay, so obviously I've been low on Brian Thomas Jr. for a little while now, and I've heard it in the Beyond the Box Score chat. Shout out to the Beyond the Box Score sickos who join us every week and populate the chat. They couldn't believe some of the players that I would be willing to trade Brian Thomas Jr. for, and some of the players that I would take over Brian Thomas Jr. Another week goes by, and BTJ to me just continues to look bad on the football field. I didn't think he was particularly impressive in this game. And then finally, they start to expand Travis Hunter's route participation, and just they let him do things that he's fully capable of doing. And he looks a lot better in that role than Brian Thomas Jr. ever really did. So my antennas are up for Travis Hunter. I think he could be. I said this before, and I talked about this with Jacob on our show earlier this summer. I watched tape of every single receiver that came into this class, and there were some good players. Buka's been amazing this year, among others. Travis Hunter, to me, was the clear-cut best receiver on tape. And it wasn't really particularly close. There were no weaknesses in his game besides maybe straight line speed, which I don't even really feel is a weakness of his. So I'm ready to see it come out because they're finally letting him run more of a full route tree. And they finally believe that he's capable of understanding where to be within the offense. And look at what he does in his first opportunity like that. He steps up for 20-plus fantasy points.
Yeah, BTJ had team high 93 catchable air yards, 6 catchable targets. The result was 3 receptions for 31 yards. He's just not playing well. Liam Cohen has been talking about it. Like, it seems like we've been kind of walking the tightrope with him all year, whereas like maybe this gets turned around. It seems like they're trying to do things to get him feeling more confident, but he continues to not look confident and he continues to look really uncomfortable going over the middle of the field.
Yeah.
It seemed like his shoulder is bothering him.
And his wrist. It's all sorts of
it's
things.
Just like, I feel no confidence really in it bouncing back. But on the Travis Hunter side of things, it's looking really encouraging. A lot of catchable air yards from Trevor Lawrence in this one because they fell behind and had to throw a ton, of course. And then we saw that focus mostly on Hunter. 39% first read target rate was by far the highest on the team, by far the highest we've seen from Travis, and the usage has been trending upward. And I think he's good enough to capitalize on it. I'm excited to dig into the film more. Of course, I watched that on Sunday morning, but I want to watch the individual routes because he hasn't been winning routes at a high rate. But I do think that's partially affected by the types of routes they've asked him to run. So I'm very excited to see dig into more downfield stuff for him.
Who would you take straight up right now?
I would take Travis Hunter over him right now.
Rest of the season, interesting. I mean, I think I would too.
This couldn't have swung worse for BTJ. I felt so bad coming out of this game in terms of BTJ vibes.
Yeah, I would still take Thomas because hopefully he can get healthy on the bye, but also Hunter yelled 6'7" about that. So I think there's still this possibility that they use him on defense. That he has
great on D. He had a really good rep in that game.
So that possibility still exists. I can't knock that
it's a problem, out. Yeah.
Because their secondary needs it too. They could use him at halftime during that game. I forget who it was, but whoever on NFL Network was saying they should use him on defense because they're getting torched. They've committed 4 penalties in their secondary.
The problem is their offense sucked until they used him more consistently on offense. So they have an equal problem on both sides of the ball.
Brian Thomas Jr. has 6 drops this year.
Yeah.
That is as many as he had last year. I'm watching currently his drops.
Playing hurt.
I mean, he has really cost himself a lot of fantasy points with drops this year.
Yeah.
All right. Our
41% of the snaps for Hunter came out wide, which is another clear change. It's not just the slot stuff.
There we go. Finally. He can win out wide. He won out wide consistently at Colorado.
All right, this one comes from Philly Dad. Is Odunze a hold or a buy low? Is the Chicago offense doing anything differently after the bye that is affecting Rome's production, or is it regression? And before we answer that, for the season, Odunze is currently much different in non-PPR than full PPR. I'll give you per game. He is per game, Odunze, number 11 wide receiver per game in non-PPR, number 13 in half PPR, number 17 in full PPR. So it could just be regression, and you just take the full season numbers, but the concern, this is his pace for the season. 68 catches, not great. 1,117 yards, not great. 14 touchdowns on 130 targets. That's his pace right now. But the question is he a hold or a buy low? And is the Chicago offense doing anything differently after the bye? And Jacob, what is your take on Odunze?
I dug into this. So I've got on the screen the first read target rates. This is per fantasy points data. Through the first 4 weeks for Odunze, we had 28%, 38%, 29%, 32%. So all in that, wide receiver 1 range every single game. In the 2 games following the bye, it's been at 17 and 19%. You don't overreact to 2 games. It could swing back in his favor. But this was another thing that Dan and I speculated on, was that it felt like when you watched Caleb Williams that he was getting a bit too locked onto Odunze as that first read and missing other guys. And we know that DJ Moore has a tendency to get frustrated. He was a guy who's getting missed a lot, where it's if you can get through the progressions, these guys are more open. Like these plays are created to like layer in different looks for you depending on what the defense is doing. And so when they're taking away Rome, you need to get off of Rome. And he wasn't doing that very well. But lately, they've kind of just changed, it seems like, the intent of the plays in terms of the way that he's reading it out. And so I dug into fantasy points data, and I think I can contextualize it and what I've been seeing. His time to throw when targeting his first rate in the 2 games following the bye is 2.23 and 2.24 seconds on average, whereas before the bye it was like 2.55. So that's a pretty substantial change. His average depth of target is down as well when targeting his first read coming out of the bye. So I think they're doing more things to maybe get off of Odunze as that first read, so he doesn't get stuck there, would be my guess. I don't know. Like maybe it's just to get other pieces incorporated or whatever. But I think what we saw this last game was no player above a 20% first read target rate. So it's like Ben Johnson maybe just kind of taking more control and like getting it where it's like more of the Daniel Jones kind of thing, where it's like, this is your first read, like go there. Like I've got like each play, I've got something designed specifically to beat what I think the defense is doing. That's kind of where I'm at, is like Caleb seemed to be struggling a bit, progressing through his reads. And then also like his accuracy was not good in the 4 games before the bye and continues to be not very good. Especially when off of his first read, his accuracy has been really, really bad, according to Fantasy Points Data Suite's charting. So it doesn't look good for Rome, but at the same time, the volume has been really low for the offense lately in terms of passing numbers, and that could creep up. I think they're only favored to win 2 of their games the rest of the season, which is really strange for a team that's playing so well. But they've got some games where they could get into back and forth shootouts. It could be playing from behind. So I definitely wouldn't overreact and sell Rome, because I think everything we saw from a talent perspective is very clear. He's a top 10 pick. He was playing really well, looking like an alpha target hog type of wide receiver 1 through the first month. And that could come back if they get where they feel a need to be more aggressive in the passing game and push things down the field.
I'll say one thing on that note from a team context standpoint. I have seen a couple great breakdowns yesterday and from last week of just what Ben Johnson's been able to create in the run game with his scheme. Some of these are just like wide open holes for DeAndre Swift to cut through. And that's something that could have came out of the bye, right? He's designing more success in the run game. They were already doing a good job before the bye in this regard, but even better of a job now. In addition to the Bears defense playing a lot better football coming out of the bye week. Not exactly sure why that's the case. Don't follow them closely enough. Maybe it's a health standpoint or just the matchups they've faced. But if those two things continue, Bears defense playing as good as they have recently or somewhere close, and then Ben Johnson and DeAndre Swift designing the run game to be as successful as it was, it's just going to be less pass volume overall for everyone, including Odunze.
I'm so interested in the Bears that my YouTube algorithm like feeds me Bears content as if I'm a fan. So,
that's awesome.
They've gotten healthier on defense, and I feel like Ben Johnson all year in regards to the run game and the defense is like, we're right there. Like we see it on film. Like there's just a few things that need to happen. He like continued to stand by DeAndre Swift the whole way and be like, it's not any one person's fault. It's just that we're very close to getting our execution down and we're not quite there.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference is they've run for over 100 yards, well over 100 yards as a team each of the last 2 games. They've had 27 carries for 145 yards and a touchdown at Washington, 134 yards and a touchdown against New Orleans. So 27 carries in both games. Caleb Williams, 29 and 26 pass attempts. That's just never good. DeAndre Swift has not been a guy that you can really trust to be efficient, but this is only the second time in his tenure with the Bears he's averaged more than 4 yards per carry in consecutive games. But he's on fire right now. Maybe they did figure something out during the bye. As far as Odunze goes, I mean, I brought it up a lot. I was like, should we sell high on this guy? Because he's got, 1 game with more than 69 yards. And that's still the case. He had 128 yards and 2 touchdowns at Detroit. They were getting killed in that game and throwing a ton. He had 11 targets in that game. So the key number, we've given a lot of numbers here. The key number for me is that he's on pace for 130 targets. I hope that continues. That's about 7.5 a game. If he's on pace for 130 targets rest of season, I think he's going to be really good, and he's their preferred end zone guy. He had a touchdown called back 2 weeks ago against Washington. Let's not forget that. So that would be great. If he can get 7 or more targets per game, that's probably going to be enough for Odunze to be a must-start guy. If they keep running the ball this well, he's only had 11 targets in his last 2 games, then we could have an issue. But I think I would definitely hold. I wouldn't sell. I would buy low or hold on Odunze.
I like that.
Aren't that many? How many wide receivers are we just putting in our lineup going, oh, they're going to be great every week, right? There just aren't that many. So
every week we're like, should we buy BTJ? I wouldn't. Should we buy AJ Brown? I wouldn't, because there's like 8 other receivers that I think are good buys. And it's like, okay, I guess everyone's just not playing well at receiver right now.
Yeah.
Someone brought a good comp here. He's like Pickens on the Steelers, sort of. You know, I don't know what Pickens. Oh, on the Steelers. Oh, that's interesting. I think he's better than that. But Pickens on the Cowboys, I thought was a pretty good comp, because I don't know what Pickens on the Cowboys is. I think he had a 20% target share in this game, which was the highest in 3 games with Lamb. So who would you rather have rest of season, George Pickens or Rome Odunze?
Pickens for me.
We've been ranking them in basically the same range, with Odunze being a little bit higher, because I think he has the chance to push into 28% target shares on an offense that could be really good. But I mean, if this continues, then definitely Pickens. Pickens
managed to have put together a pretty decent game for a fantasy standpoint, despite everything going against him from a game script standpoint.
The environment just feels so much better for Pickens. Like, I feel like the environment is much more likely to lift Pickens than Odunze, whereas he might actually have to be fighting it. Odunze, to me, actually profiles really similarly to Drake London from an environmental standpoint. The only difference is that I feel a lot more confidence in London as like a target hog, whereas like Odunze, we haven't seen a lot of that. London, we've seen it for like 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, I feel more I agree with that, though. I do feel more confidence in Ben Johnson's ability to scheme Odunze open looks than I guess the Falcons, or I guess maybe just Caleb Williams to get the football to him than Michael Penix.
What's going to happen with Odunze a lot is Caleb Williams scrambles, tries to extend the play, and he often looks for Odunze.
Yeah,
he did twice in this game yesterday against the Saints, and he threw downfield to him twice, and both times the Saints defensive back, Justin Reed the first time, Kool-Aid McKinstry the second time, they just made a good play. They knocked the ball out of Rome Odunze's hands, but he had 2 opportunities. That's we got to show. You want to show something? I was about to sign off, Jacob. You have another. I saw something like a.
No, I was just looking, but I mean, I've got the floor. Let's talk about Colston Loveland. I'm excited about that. I said that the first 3 target rates for all the Bears were below 20% in week 7. I was mistaken. That was week 6. I just got it mixed up. Week 7.
Come on.
Team high first 3 target rate, 25%. Colston Loveland tied with DJ Moore. We could have it. We could have it if Cole Kmet's, I think, back injury. Is that what I saw? If that keeps him out.
Yes.
Things have been trending in the right direction with Loveland lately.
Can I just give Dan some credit for something? We're very hard on Dan on this show, and we love that. I mean, people love that. I heated up some leftovers today.
Okay.
I made a little circle on the plate.
Oh, you did?
Put the circle in the middle, put the food around the circle, right around the perimeter of the plate.
Yes.
I think it worked. I think it worked pretty well.
Right? It heats it more evenly.
It was really good. I don't understand the science, but
I don't either. Someone told me it once and I lived by it.
Yeah, it's very good. You know, good for you. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. And thank you all for watching and listening. This is Beyond the Box Score. 3 more episodes in the Beyond the Box Score feed this week. You could also go to youtube.com/fantasyfootballtoday to see our content. And obviously, Johnny in the chat, I did not heat it up in plastic. I took it out of the plastic and put it on a plate and then ate it on the plate. Nice. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Oh, can you believe Game 7 is tonight and we have 2 Monday Night Football games? This sucks.
You can do not the today's age, like with YouTube TV at least that I use. You can watch both at the same time.
I guess.
All 3 at the same time. I'm sorry.
What do you get? Oh, you're talking about baseball. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I won't be watching the baseball game personally, but I respect it. It's Game 7, and I would if it wasn't for the Monday night games. And I got massive fantasy implications in these games across the board.
It's a sacrificial lamb game tonight in baseball because it's just whoever wins is just going to get destroyed by the Dodgers.
By the Dodgers, yeah. The Dodgers are just it's insane. That roster, and everyone's like, "Well, they've built it." What have they built? It's not like they've done they've just bought this team. They haven't built a team. They bought a team.
They bought a lot of it. All right,
they bought it well.
They did. They spent well.
They spent better than the Yankees and Mets. That's for sure.
We'll talk to you tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today. See ya.